Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do the hashtag only 10 indie decks. This was really hard. I find all of these, well, not all of them, but some of these hashtags really hard because I feel like I'm picking certain decks over others and I don't know, I feel bad. I feel like I'm leaving some out and it hurts my heart. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. I do love you. I'm not putting you in the video today. I don't know. I'm weird. I feel bad about it though. It makes me feel bad that I leave some of my decks out, which is ridiculous, but whatever. So I ended up narrowing it down and looking at them all right now in front of me. They're really strange. They're very all over the place, which I don't know. I thought I would have maybe had kind of like a theme going or like a particular style that maybe called to me. This is kind of like all over. But I love all of these indie decks and they mean a lot to me. Some of them are really, really new, like I've only had for maybe a week. Some of them I've had for a couple years. So it just, it is what it is. Um, yeah, so let's get started. I'm going to start right in, and this isn't in any order of importance. This is just how I can grab them and reach them, just so my tarot decks don't feel like they're being judged. All right, the first one. Okay, the first one for me is the Lioness Oracle. Now, I've had this for a little bit now, not too long, but other than the Tantric Dakini, I think this is my only collage deck, like analog collage. I do have another digital collage one that'll be coming in for this, but I'm kind of new to the collage world of tarot. And to tell you honest to God truth, it never really spoke to me, but this one did. And I love it. I really enjoying my time with it. I really like its readings. I kind of felt like it might end up like the Rebecca Campbell decks, which I'll be talking about again in a minute. But I kind of was like, oh, it's going to be cosmic-y and, that starseed energy that I have a hard time tapping into. And I kept overlooking it. And I was just like, I don't know. And I kept passing by it. And then finally one day I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy it. And it has David Bowie. And I love David Bowie. I'm a big David Bowie fan. So I grabbed it. And I honestly have not put it away since. Whether it's on my desk or by my bedside or, being used, it's with me. It's with me. It's spending time with me. I'm enjoying the readings from it. And it does have like a cosmic energy, but it's different. It's not, to me, it's cosmic, like almost like like a, I don't even know how to explain it. It just feels different than the Rebecca Campbell decks. The Rebecca Campbell decks to me are very starseedy and very like a limited energy. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but it's an energy source that I have a hard time tapping into. And I feel like it's very limited in the audience that can actually truly tap into it in a way, I guess you would say. I think the artwork and the decks are beautiful. However, I just have a really hard time relating with them. But this one, however, I have not. And I mean, it's full of cats and rainbows and stars and Nosferatu and David Bowie. It's just, I don't know. I really enjoying my time with it. I really like it. It's definitely right up there in my decks right now that I would be grabbing, and this would be coming with me, and I wouldn't be leaving it behind. And I have her, the Stars Divine as well. I got it with this one, and I really like that too. It's great for astrology and anybody wanting to learn astrology. But yeah, the Lioness Oracle. Okay, so now I'm going to go way back to the Spacious Tarot. I think, I was trying to think about this the other day. I think this is honestly one of my first indie decks. And I don't know. I keep kind of trying to figure that out. If it's not my first indie deck, it's definitely I've had it for a while. I've had it for a while. I really enjoy this deck. I love its minimalism. I love the openness of the spaces. I think the artwork is just amazing and gorgeous. I have the where she had that weird print that had the lighter color on the backs. I bought mine during that time. And it's when I kind of first really started spending time in the indie deck world. And this was the deck that kind of, I feel like it kind of broke the ice. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm thinking it is. And I don't know, I really like the peacefulness, the zen that comes from this deck. I find it comforting, but yet, it'll tell you what needs to be done. It'll tell you how to do it. It'll kind of give it to you, but in a very light, gentle manner. It's very nature based, and I love nature stuff. So I don't know. I really enjoy this deck, and I wouldn't be leaving it behind. Like, look at that High Priestess. Like, there's just so much you can take from that. I don't know. Really enjoyed this deck. One of my favorites. I really like the cardstock. Shuffles, like, so nice. I do. I really enjoy it. Its readings are just so beautiful. And for something that's on the minimalistic side, it says so much. Like, it really honestly does. It has a lot to say, right? It's very clear and direct. Very straight to the point. I like that about it. It's good. Beautiful colors, great artwork. Yeah, I love it. This is definitely one I would not be leaving behind. And that is the Spacious Tarot. So another deck that I'm going kind of far back on, I've had it for a while, but I really enjoy, and that is the Lilifar. I love this deck. And I was really happy to see her doing another copy of this or another edition of this. And it took everything in my body to not buy another copy of this. But I feel like I don't need another copy. I've learned this deck in and out. I understand it. I've learned all of her like symbolism and all of her different ways of numbering things and all that stuff. And I'm good with it. And I love it. And I like the readings from it. I love watercolor art. I'm a huge fan of watercolor, and this deck is just so watery and full of emotion, so colorful. It just reminds me of like the spring and even into the summer. It's got a great energy, and I really enjoy my readings with it. I think it's fabulous, honestly. The backs, like, these backs are crazy awesome. And I really just like it. I like the size of it. It's kind of like the Spacious Tarot where it's like a smaller card, but not really small, but it's comfortable to shuffle. It feels good in your hand. The cardstock is just it's beautiful. It's feels nice. I don't know. I really do. I love it. I love this High Priestess card. There's so many characters that I'm just like, oh, like I just get the feels for. And there's rainbows and everything and animals, and it's kind of got like a real pagan feel to me, if that makes any sense. But super uh it's got that pagan feel. It just feels wild and old and, you know, coming from a different energy source. I really enjoy my readings from it. And I like the figures. I like the characters in it. You know, I like the way that they look. This is actually one of my favorite cards in here. Love it. Just such a great deck. And I never see it being mentioned, but I do. This is a great deck. The Lilifer is amazing. So yeah, that's up there in my top 10. Another one that I'm really enjoying my time with, but it took a little bit. Like it wasn't an instant hit with me. And I do know that I've mentioned that in one of the videos that I did, but that is the Holy Spectrum. It took me a little bit to get into this deck, and I don't really know why. I can't really tell you why, because it's amazing. The card stock is superior. You know, the matte backs, the dark edging, like just it's wonderful. I really like its readings, but it took me, like I said, it took me a little bit to kind of get get into it and get understanding it and kind of like not understanding it, but connecting to it, right? I find myself with some of the cards really, really wishing that the creator gave a guidebook with it because some of them I'm just like, why? Like, what? Like, I want to know what the story is behind this card. I want to know what this person's doing or what this person's thinking. And I don't know if it'll come up or not, but it's one of the wand cards where I'm just like, why would you choose this? And I want to just I want to know his thought process. I want to know what he was thinking when he chose, you know, that design. So I don't know, like that's just me, I guess. Sometimes I just get curious and I'm just kind of like, well, why did you do that? Like, why would you pick that? This one right here. Like, I just want to know what his thought was behind this, like, why he chose this image. You know, I don't know. It's just me. It's just like there's so much, I have so many questions about this deck. And I feel like a guidebook would have helped. I understand why he chose to not, because it is pretty rider weight based, right? But at the same time, like I feel like these characters are in this world that like I just don't know much about and I want to know a whole bunch about, right? I don't know, just me. I guess I'm like I want to know what's happening. But I do. I love this deck now. I enjoy my time with it. I like my readings with it. The color palette is amazing. It's so much fun. And I feel I get a lot from this and I really enjoy my readings with it. It gets to be pretty deep. And I feel like some of the cards are really grounding and like exist in like the everyday world. And then some of the cards have kind of like a cosmic energy to it. This right here, I think, is one of my most favorite Queen of the Wand cards. I love this card. I feel there is so much in this card, and there's just, oh, I feel it a lot. I love this card. Actually, some of my most favorite cards are in this deck. Like the High Priestess, one of my favorites. This Queen of Wands, one of my favorites. There's a couple, if I can't even think off the top of my mind, but there's a couple in here that like they're my favorite. The Death card is one of my favorites. The Empress card is one of my favorites. So, I mean, I really do. I really enjoy this deck and I'm glad it's part of my collection and it's definitely it's in my top 10 for sure. So that is the Holy Spectrum. All right, so number 5 is pretty new to me, and that is the Stunning Tarot. I do have the Stunning Tarot second edition, and it was actually in one of my videos where I kind of feel, I think I said that I felt like I was having a hard time bonding with it and kind of hanging out with it and spending time with it, which is really, really true. But this copy, however, something's completely different with it. And I don't know if it's the card shapes. I don't know if it's because she kind of redid some of the imagery. I don't know what it is, but and the cardstock, like every time I touch it, I'm just like, oh, like I melt. It is so amazing. But I don't know what it is about this card, like, or sorry, this deck. I'm just something about this changed it for me. I had a really hard time bonding with that second edition. I don't know why. I don't know if it's like if it's a size thing or like what it was, but I just was having a hard time getting into it. And this though, this changed, sorry, this cat here. Um, I say that a lot, I feel. There's cat hair on everything. Um, I don't know. There's something that changed this about me, like about it for me. The other one, the second edition I have, I feel like the images were cut off. There was things missing from it that I felt were substantial. I don't know. There's just something about it. And this deck just changed it all for me. So this is the perfect example. In my second edition, it is just the peacocks. And I don't even remember seeing a nest in the card. And there definitely wasn't these white cups. So when I look at it now like this, like it makes sense to me. Whereas in the second edition, I was kind of like, I don't get the association. And I kind of had a hard time with it. So yeah, I'm like, maybe it's like puppy love, I don't know, but I'm digging this deck a lot. The only thing is like I find that it kind of delivers messages like the Barbara Walker, where it can be kind of sharp and it can be kind of I don't want to say mean, but it'll give it to you and it'll lay it all out right in your face and be like, "Yeah, see, this is the problem and what are you going to do about it?" And I feel like it's very Barbara Walker energy. And I don't know if I'm like putting that onto it or if other people have experienced that with it as well too. But I feel like it's kind of got Barbara Walker energy where you got to be in the mood for it. You got to not necessarily the mood. You got to be ready to hear what it has to say. And it's not one of those days where you know you cry at the drop of a dime, right? This is like you got to be able to kind of take what it has to say. This Lovers card is amazing. I love it. And I do I get like I get quiet when I start using this deck because I kind of just like fall into this world. And I really like the images, how they're like all like that primary coloring and these bright, insane reds and purples and whites and yellows. And yeah, yeah, I can't, it's an amazing. It's a game changer for me. It completely changed. I was actually kind of let down when I got the second edition of this one and I was like, really? Like I don't understand what the hype is all about. Now I understand what the hype is all about. This is a phenomenal deck. And I am glad it's in my collection. And like I said, I've only had it for a little bit, but it would be definitely one of the ones that I would be grabbing on my way out the door without question. And that is the Stunning Tarot, the fourth edition. All right, well, since we're talking about this, we might as well go to the next one, which is my seventh edition or edition seven, however you want to say it, the Unise Yaos. I I love this. This has been my first experience with this deck, and I am super happy that I waited and got to experience this edition because this color palette really speaks to me. And it's amazing. And like I look at other people's when they're flipping through and I'm like, "Oh, I love it." But the color palette isn't really my like isn't really perfect for me. This one's color palette is perfect for me. I love it so much. I was really surprised by my readings with it. When I was flipping through it, I was kind of like, oh, okay, you know, it's cool. But then I started doing my readings with it and I was blown away by it. There are some cards, like this one in particular, and then the Fool, that I can't, they blow me away. These ones too, like the majors are pretty crazy. I do think this is one of the kind of kind of like the not friendliest looking King of Cups I've seen, but that's okay. I understand what the energy is in the card and what's going on and whatnot. The knights, I love that the knights are all in armor and they all look like knights. Like I think that's amazing. There's a lot of really cool stuff about it. And I kind of like how this king is like kind of a shadow. You can't really see who he is or what he looks like. Like, look at, I love the knights. I like that there's nods to, you know, the gardens and the insects and the bugs and nature and, you know, all of that stuff. I feel like it's a very naturey deck. It feels like it's kind of like crawled out of the earth and is like, hey, I'm here. It's got this ancient feeling to it. It's got kind of a dark goddess energy in it as well too. I don't know, it really surprised me. I wasn't expecting it to be what it is, and but in a good way. It's just amazing to me. It pulls on memories too, like it triggers some memories in me, because these flowers here remind me of snapdragons, and snapdragons, like my grandma always had snapdragons in her garden. So when I see them, I'm just like, oh, like it makes me think of like back to my youth. So it kind of brings me to my roots. I don't know. There's something ancestral about this deck. And this is like one of the crazy coolest emperors, honestly. And I really, really like it. I'm glad I got it. I'm glad I, you know, didn't listen to myself and bought it. Because I was like, as soon as I bought it, I was like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Like, I don't need any more decks. Like, honestly, I need to take a break. And then it got here like a couple months later, and I was like, oh my God, I am so happy I didn't listen to myself. And I splurged and I bought the thing that I seriously didn't need because I needed it and I love it. And like I said, I will not be leaving this deck behind. I've bonded very deeply with it, and I absolutely love this deck now. And this is well, I shouldn't say now. I've loved it right from the beginning. The minute I touched it, I was like, whoa, this is crazy awesome. And I bonded with this deck. Like I felt like I've already used it, like I already knew it. It became almost instant connection and instant. And like even when looking at the words, like I had no problems translating it, like I just knew. And it was like instant connection. So I don't know, really liked it. I really enjoy it, love it. Is definitely not being left behind. It is definitely one of my, if I only had 10 indie decks, it would be one of them. And that is my Unise Yaus. So number 7 on my list is and this isn't going to surprise you guys, is the Sasurabito. I really enjoy it. Like I said in one of the previous videos, there's cards in here that remind me of people that are in my life right now. If I was to put them into an illustration, I find this a straight shooter. It's straightforward. It delivers messages precisely. It's good at the way it delivers it too. I feel like it's just like a friend talking to a friend, like talking to a good friend. And it just tells you what you need to hear. It's delivers it in a very good manner. It doesn't rock you in a way. It doesn't I don't know. It's not like Barbara Walker or like it just delivers its message nice. I don't know. But at the same time, like it's not afraid to tell you what it has to say. It's you know, I like the depiction of the royals or like the court cards in this. I think they're very age appropriate, which is very important to me. There is a lot of masculine energy in it, but I feel like it's a good balance of feminine and masculine energy. And yeah, like I don't know. I really, really enjoy my reads from it. I really like the imagery. This card right here. Okay, this is one of my favorite Queen of Cups because, like I said in the other video, this reminds me of my mom. So, in my life, the Queen of Cups is my mom. And this just so much reminds me of my mom. And when I look at it, I'm like, oh, it makes me homesick, makes me miss my mom. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. I really enjoy it. I like its vibrant colors. Once again, it's kind of watercolor, right? It looks like watercolor paintings. And this is one when I first got it, I was kind of like, oh, okay, you know, it's cool. And I kind of put it off to the side. And then I started just really getting into it. And, you know, some of these images just, they're so perfect. And it's not a guessing game. It's straightforward what it means. And that's what I really appreciate about it, is it's straightforward. And I enjoy that very much. So yeah. This is definitely one that I would not leave behind. And if I only had 10 available to me, this would definitely be in there. And that is the Sasurabito. My next one is the Gentle Tarot. Now, I just have it all in order because I actually was just, you know, reorganizing it and cleansing it and putting it back into its order to just kind of, you know, straighten it all up. And I like to reset my decks once in a while, and this was in the middle of being reset. So now I do have the first edition box, the boxed edition, where the cardstock is really thick, and I love it. And that was my first original taste of the Gentle Tarot, and I fell in love with it. It was absolutely beautiful. The creator's energy is so pure and beautiful, and you can feel it just coming through in her work. But I have I have a hard time shuffling that deck. And I feel like I'm shuffling like plates. Like it's just like clunk, 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 clunk. They're so thick. And it kind of like, to be honest, and I'm being really super honest, it kind of interfered with my connection with the deck. And I don't like to say that because this is an amazing deck. But when I got my hands on this linen edition, I brought them in for the shop. And obviously, I have to open one and I have to use it for pictures and all of that stuff. And then I usually just discount that one down and sell it, or you know, do something else with it. But when I touched it and this cardstock, this linen cardstock of this edition, it was a game changer for me. And it was like I was re experiencing the Gentle Tarot all over again. And it became different to me. And I really don't know how else to explain that other than it was like I was relearning it all over again. And I enjoy shuffling it. I enjoy spending time with it. It's got a different, it changed it for me. And that's pretty much all I can really say is the cardstock really changed its energy to me. And I really enjoy my time with it now. And it hasn't been, so this deck hasn't been part of my collection for so long, but the first edition has. And I don't know, I love how earthly it is. It's very grounding to me. It's very comforting. I find it very similar to the Sasurabito, where it's nice. It's comforting. You know, it tells you what you need to hear, but in a gentle manner, right? Obviously, gentle tarot makes sense. And when you read, when you get into her guidebook and you read, like, her why she chose this and why she chose that and why there's mugwort in this and, all the different things about it, it just really opens it up and it makes it so, um, like once again, like an ancestral energy. And it connects to the animals and the animal kingdom and nature. And to me, that's really important. And I don't know, I really this cardstock was a game changer for me. I absolutely love the feeling of this in my hands now. And I put my first edition away and it's away. I still use it. There's still times where I pull it out, but I really enjoy working with this cardstock. So it was a big game changer for me and it shot it right up into, into obviously my top 10 for me. And I really enjoy it. So that is the Gentle Tarot. Number 9 is this one here. And it's funny because I just got this. I've only had it for a few days. And in my video, it kind of seems like I'm picking on it a little bit. But then I started to do readings with it. And I'm loving it. This is the Black Violet Tarot, the white deck. This deck is so intuitive. My readings that I've been getting with this have been insane. I wasn't expecting that from it. It really honestly caught me off guard, but I am still going to say these images are too small. They needed to just be zoomed in. And I thought about it after, and maybe she's just doing it because it's the scene that's more important. It's like the whole picture that's more important. And if that is what she was doing, I get that, and that's awesome. But this stuff is just it's so teeny tiny, and it just needs to be. It needed in my books to still be zoomed in, and I'm gonna probably say that until the end of time. However, this deck is one hell of a read. And I mean that in a good way. It is so intuitive. It was just jumping cards out and was throwing out cards to answer me as I was talking and shuffling. I didn't even have to lay cards. It was just like just this, and every single card it was just communicating with me. And I hadn't even owned it for a week at this point, and I was floored by it, and I was really surprised. It took me back. I wasn't expecting it. And I really honestly I'm really enjoying it. It's definitely been it has not gone back in its box. It's been sitting out on my desk open like this because I'm literally just keep picking it up and shuffling it and asking questions, putting it down, going to the next one. Like I'm spending a lot of time with it and I really like it. It's awesome. It's an amazing deck. Really intuitive for me. I don't know if it was like that for everybody, but it's really intuitive for me and I'm really enjoying my time with it. And it's moved up into this spot in not even a week in my house. And that is the Black Violet Tarot, the white deck. Now, last but not least, remember, I didn't do this in a particular order. Nobody's better than the other. The Moonchild. So, I'm not a fan of Rebecca Campbell's decks. I'm really sorry to say it. They're absolutely phenomenal and gorgeous. However, I just can't connect with them. I've owned Work Your Light and Starseed, and both of them I have moved on because I cannot connect with them. I just cannot get into the space with them. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because it's Starseed energy. I have no clue what the problem is. but I find the messages confusing. The keywords, I had a really hard time finding understanding how the keywords, like how they fit in. Just difficulties all the way around. And they just frustrated me. So I moved them on. But this deck, it was not the same. So I resisted Moonchild forever, and I was like, nope, I'm just going to end up paying a lot of money for it. I'm going to end up getting it here. I'm going to not connect to it the way that I did the other ones, and I'm going to move it on. But then I started really sitting and thinking about it, and I was like, okay, so what did I like about the Starseed, and what did I like about Work Your Light? What did I like about those Rebecca Campbell decks? Okay, it was the artwork. Loved the artwork. The only thing that kept me holding on to them for as long as I did was the artwork. So then I really started thinking about it, and I was like, okay, so maybe I should give Danielle Noel's decks a chance because she is the artist behind the Rebecca Campbell decks, right? And I finally did it, and I ordered in the Moonchild. And I absolutely love this deck. It was an instant connection for me. And like I keep saying that, but there's decks where I have that they're kind of, it's not the same. These decks are like little pieces of me, 10 little pieces of me. And this deck definitely became one of the pieces of me. I enjoy the messages. I enjoy the artwork. I love the nods to ancient Egypt civilization. I enjoy kind of almost that it's got cosmic energy to it, but not um, unattainable cosmic energy. It's got nature stuff in it. It's very beautiful. The colors are amazing. I do. I'm a big fan of this deck, and I feel bad that I waited as long as I did to bring this into my collection. But, better late than never. This was my card that I pulled for today, and then this told me about who was coming to see me today, and it was phenomenal, and I really enjoyed it. But this deck is amazing. I absolutely love it. I love everything about it. And like I said in the other videos, my problem is, it lies in the royals. I find that they're not age appropriate. The cards don't reflect the ages that they should. So that is kind of my one little issue with it, but it's barely even an issue. It doesn't do anything. It's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful read. And last night when I was sitting down with it to do a reading, I don't know if anyone's noticed this, but there's a typo in this book. And maybe I'm behind times on things, but like there's a typo in the wands. And the keywords were the exact same. And I was like, what the heck? So it's 7 of Wands. So it says competition, gain, success, strength, defiance. And then the 9 of Wands has the exact same keywords competition, gain, success, strength, defiance. But what is written about them is different. So I don't know. I thought that was really funny when I saw that. And I was like, what the heck? That is the strangest thing in the world. But yeah, so I don't know if I found a typo and if everybody else has found it and I'm just behind times or whatnot. But yeah, it's a typo in my book. I don't know if it's just my book. Who knows? But I thought it was funny. And I was like, oh my God, there's a typo. But yeah, love this deck. Love everything about this deck. Bonded extremely deep with this deck. And I really can't express, you know, how awesome it is because I love it. I love everything about it. I really like the readings from it. I find it very accurate. I like the way it kind of delivers it. It's gentle again, but yet it's not afraid to tell you what it has to say. So big fan of this. My last but not least is the Moonchild. So the funny thing is when you start piling these cards all around and really taking a look at them, they're so different. They're all so different. Some of them are put away, sorry. Some of them, these I keep in their boxes. I don't leave them sitting out too long, not protected. But yeah, like when you start placing them out and about and looking at it, it's such different energy that I brought in. And they're so different. And they do so much different stuff. Sorry, that's kind of a mess, but This is my 10. My 10 indie decks. Oh, let's not forget the Sasurabito. I'm going to put it down over here. You guys probably can barely see it. But that's the 10 decks. These are my 10 indie decks that I honestly would not like. I have to have them. I would be grabbing them. They are coming with me. I can't not have them. I really enjoy them. And they're all so different, right? Like it's such a different energy in all of them. So I don't know. I found that really interesting. I thought that I was going to pick decks that are kind of all alike, but I picked ones that are so, so different in many, many different ways. And I love that about it. That was my 10 decks, 10 indie decks. If I could only have 10 indie decks. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was entertaining. I really enjoyed looking at everything and just getting in there and sharing, right? Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And like I always say, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Thank you.